अरे सुना क्या? क्या?
अरे सुना नहीं क्या? अरे क्या भाई?
अरे कार्निवल आ रहा है।
कैसा कार्निवल?
कैसा नहीं, पूछो क्या क्या?
बहुत कुछ हॉटेस्ट डिस्काउंट ऑन कोर्सेज लाइव लर्निंग जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी अ परफेक्ट वे टू लिव इन अ प्योर समर टाइम
अरे इतना सारा?
जी हाँ इतना सारा सी यू एट गीक्स इन कार्निवल
अरे कहाँ?
डिस्काउंट लेने।
Hello everyone, welcome back to Geeks for Geeks. My name is Muskan Agarwal, and in this webinar we are going to know all about full stack development, what all various frameworks are there, what are the prerequisites if you are planning to be a full stack developer. And yes, we have Utkarsh with us today who is going to guide us throughout the webinar. But before I add him to the stream, I want you guys to confirm me in the comment section if I'm perfectly visible and audible. Just give me a thumbs up in the comment section if I'm perfectly visible and audible. Hi Divakar, hi Simon. Yeah, we'll just wait for another 10 seconds so that more people can join us in the webinar and then we are good to go. Yes, I can see a lot of people. Cool. I'll quickly add Utkarsh to the stream. Hi Utkarsh, how are you doing?
Hi everyone, hi Muskan. Hi, I'm good.
Yeah. So let us start by having a brief introduction about yourself so the audience knows you better and connects with you more.
Okay, sure. So, hi everyone, it's good meeting you all over here. So, I'm Utkarsh, who is connecting with you all along with Muskan. So, today we'll be talking about full stack development along with React and Node.js. So, about me, I'm currently working as a SD at Amazon. So, I've been new into it. I've been into around 6 months. I joined Amazon. Before that, I worked for a company called as Saber Corporations that was into travel sector. Apart from this, I have been into this edtech space from last couple of years now. I have been into mentorship, instructor teaching, and all from last couple of years. I have been associated with good startup from last couple of years. So I worked with multiple cryo. Even for Geeks, I have been with 6 months. I have made one recorded course in JavaScript. I'm now currently taking a live course on full stack. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good to be here.
Yeah, that is really great. So talking about full stack development, can you, like, before we start, deep diving into it, can you tell us what full stack development is and what are the sub components that are there in full stack development?
Okay, so basically, I am assuming that we have so many college students over here, right? So the point is, full stack is very interesting, right? Nowadays, everyone is running mostly behind data structures and all, right? But development has its own fun and everything, right? So mostly full stack is have everything about what do you do. Any application used nowadays, it has multiple components, right? You as an end user only interact with the client. Your client could be what? As in, for me, client could be a mobile or it could be a laptop. By the end of the day, it's a browser that is running, right? So that is you interact with your clients. Clients interact with servers. Servers is where your web application is running. Where is the all business logic is being written. That actually interacts with the databases where actually your physically data is being stored. So yeah, from very high level, these are the few high level components we will talk about today.
So, if I'm a starter and I have to learn full stack development from scratch, can you tell me, like, what are the prerequisites? How should I start? Like, what should be the roadmap? Because in my first year, when I also started learning web development, one of the mistakes that I did was, like, I chose like path 4 before learning 1, 2, 3. Like, I did not learn the prerequisites and I jumped onto something else, which wasted a lot of my time. So, can you give us a correct roadmap to full stack development?
So for full stack, it's pretty simple. As I told you, if you open anything, you have heard of three-tier architecture, right? Three-tier simply means what? We have a client side which interacts with the server. We have a server which interacts with the DB. So any request you make, we have a request response model, right? That a client will fire a request to a server. Server will attract the DB, make some computations, and it will send you a response back. Now, what are the prerequisites? See, so the point is make it learn in any order. Make sure you do either on the client side or on the node or on the server side first. Client side could be any languages. For example, you have to be very good in JavaScript to be in good client side. So basically, what you see HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all these are client side things, right? Server side simply means PHP, Node.js. All these are server side programming languages. So it's good. You can start with any framework. React and all are very popular framework nowadays. So you can start with any one of them.
So talking about frameworks, you mentioned React. So can you tell us, like, there are so many frameworks available. So as a student, which one should I start with, and like what are the advantages of that particular framework over other?
Okay. So basically, okay, I will share a screen with you after this. So it's pretty. I have a very good slide and all that shows that what obviously it's a very popular statement that every day good amount of JavaScript frameworks are born every day. So JavaScript in the community is way too huge, right? So the space at which the JavaScript framework grows are way too high. So it's very important to adopt the right framework. But yeah, coming to my personal experience, now you see from last around 7 to 8 years, React has way too popularity, right? Now even good product-based companies all have started moving to React. Even in my previous company, they were using React. Even in my current company, they are using React. So all good product-based companies, since it is made by Facebook, it has easy to use and it has multiple features. We'll talk in the session today in the going ahead. So yeah, React is way too popular and easy to use, especially for beginners.
Right.
So yeah, React is a way to go. For sure, it will be something that will pay you off, and it has done for me as well.
Correct. Even I started with React, and I think React is a very good option to start with. But I see in a lot of interviews, I've been asked that why did you choose React and not Angular? And I do not have a perfect answer for it, right? So can you tell, like, why should we choose React? What are the benefits of React over Angular or Vue?
Okay, so point is it's a very standard question, but yeah, the main point is React is just a view. It's just we have something called MVC architecture, right? Where M stands for model, U stands for use, C stands for controllers. So React is just a view. It's just a library, right? So it's just gives you stylings out of the box. But whereas Angular, it's a complete framework. So yeah, I will share. I have a slide with you. I will share it with you. That why? Yes. What are the benefits of that?
Also, guys, I can see that there are a lot of questions in the comment section. After the slide, we will try to take each of the question that is there. So do not worry, stay till the end. We will definitely try to take all the questions possible.
Okay, so I can start, right? Now?
Yeah. Okay.
So how many people do we have? Okay, give me a second. It is I'm sharing.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, there are a lot of questions, Angular versus React. I think we answered this particular question. React is a bit easy to learn than Angular.
Now you might be able to see that.
Yes.
Okay. So in this next few minutes, next 30-40 minutes, we'll talk about in very detail that what is full stack, what is React, what is Node.js, why do you learn React, why do Node.js, what is something that makes it unique and all. So in the next 30-40 minutes, that is what we will talk about, and it will give you a good roadmap that where you can get started in the and I also not only this, I will also talk about very properly about that why React is the way to go, right? So I have a very good demonstration of an example through which we can talk about it. Okay, so cool then. So let me, as we quickly talked about the 3-tier architecture, right? I think most of the people are aware with this, right? So let me still Still, if there are people who are not aware of what a three-tier architecture is, you might already know, right? What a how does it work? So any systems, how does it work? We have an end user, right? We have an end user. It could be you. We interact with what? We interact with client side. So clients are mostly you interact with. What it could be? It could be your web browsers. It could be your mobile applications, right? So all these are clients. What you see is always there in a clients. That could be your client sites, right? Similarly, then what do? We have something called as APIs, right? What are APIs? APIs are application programming interfaces. So what do? From a client, we follow a request response model and we talk with a server, right? A client will make a request to a server always asking for some task it has to do, and it will make a call to a server, right? Server has a capability to understand the request coming from a client, and he will send a response back to the client, right? In a meanwhile, he might need to interact with the database, right? So this is a very, very high level. What do you mean by three-tier architecture? That is a main how we communicate in web. We communicate with clients. Clients is where you see what is being written on the client. Anything that a person sees is written on the client. Now you know, right? What are client-side programming languages? HTML, CSS, JavaScript. What are all these? All these are client-side programming languages. Now anything a user sees plus the user interaction is handled with the help of these HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. Whereas any business logic is written on the server side. Any kind of business logic that is being present, let me change the color, is being written on the server side. Right. Now HTML, CSS, what are HTML and CSS? Everyone knows, right? Nowadays we do all these things in school also. What are these? They are simply markup and styling things, right? Finally, what do they do? They simply allow us to create a DOM. You know, right? That what are web browsers? Browsers have a capability to parse the DOM, right? Now HTML and CSS help us to create the DOM. Now using only HTML and CSS, what you can do? You can just render websites, or you can just create static websites. But you are not able to handle user interaction, right? Or user interaction, what do you need? You need JavaScript. To handle user interaction into behavior, you need JavaScript. Okay, this help you to manipulate a DOM. Okay, now this is everything you do on a client side. Now we have frameworks and all, for example, React, Angular. What are the main purpose of this? I will talk about in a while. What are the main purpose of this? The main purpose of this framework is to manipulate the DOM in a very, very efficient way. Okay. Similarly, on a server side, what do we have? We have Node.js. We have PHP. So what is the responsibility of a server-side programming language? That it should be able to understand the client request. It should be able to compute and to process and to send the response back to the server after interacting with the database. Okay. So this is a very, very high-level idea of what a three-tier architecture is. Similarly, database could be anything. We have NoSQL, SQL databases, right? For example, MongoDB. We have normal SQL, MySQL, right? So now when it comes to full stack, what you should know? One client-side programming language you should know at least, right? That is what HTML and CSS everyone knows, right? You should be very good in JavaScript. You should be very, very good in JavaScript, especially, okay? Then you should know one of the frameworks, that is React or Angular. But React is the way to go. We'll talk about it. Then server side, you have to learn any one server side programming language. That mostly we'll try to talk about Node.js. Okay, and databases, it's MongoDB, right? So mostly we talk about MERN. We'll talk about MERN stack over here, right? MERN simply means M stands for MongoDB, A stands for Express. Now, what is Express? Express is built on the top of Node.js, right? It is just like, you know about Bootstrap, right? Bootstrap, CSS and Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is built on the top of CSS, right? To make writing CSS easier. Similarly, Express is built on the top of Node.js to help us write Node.js easily. Sorry. Similarly, React is a on the client side, that will talk about Node.js is again on the server side. So all these, if you learn, right, you can be called as a full stack developer. Okay, so these are the few things I want to talk about. Okay, now I want to cover today a very important thing, that why React. Okay, a lot of people had a question, right, that why React. Okay, before I move ahead, any questions? Okay, now we'll talk about it. Okay, now if you have any questions, do ping me, I will take it. Okay, now we'll talk about why React. Now it will be very interesting. Okay, now you all know that you all have heard of React, right? What makes React special and why it is the need of the hour, right? That is what we are going to talk now. Now, as I told you, almost all good companies, all good product-based companies have moved to React. That are, you can think of, right? That Adobe, Microsoft, Amazon, PayPal. So all of these good product-based companies have adopted to React. Why I'm putting it over here? It's very simple. If you're learning a new skill, especially a JavaScript framework, it is very important that all the big players in the industry should be using it, because you are learning something to make sure that you get it in use, right? So React is something that is adopted by big companies, and you know, right, if they are adopting to a particular framework or a library now, in big companies, it takes a good amount of year to migrate to something new, right? So since good amount of companies are moving to React, it's a signal that it's a good time to learn about React. Similarly, you can see, right, all those popular things. Facebook, see, obviously Facebook built React. You might have known this, right? So all these Facebook, WhatsApp now, Facebook owns, right? So all of these applications are built in React. Facebook, and even React Native is what? It's a extension of React which allows you to make hybrid mobile applications, right? That means you do not have to code independently for iOS and Android using hybrid mobile application app. You can make, using React Native, you can make hybrid mobile applications. So examples are Facebook app, Instagram app, right? So, or Walmart. So all these apps that you use in a day-to-day life, mostly in Instagram, right? That is built using React. Okay, so these are the few companies that you can see that are highly using React. Okay, now these are the few statistics you can see that why React is popular, right? So if you see, these are the data of till 2020. Now it has even increased a lot. You can see, right, here, which one is React? The blue one is React. So interest over time has significantly increased as compared to Angular and Vue. So Angular, Vue, and React are all on the same level when it comes to JavaScript frameworks. Okay, the number of downloads of React are way too high as compared to Angular and Vue in the last 6 months. You can see, right? So now I hope these are the few motivational points for you to learn React. Now I want to talk about a very few 6 points I want to talk about. I will take each one of them in detail. For sure, you will take something to learn from this. That why React is very good. Okay, before that, any questions? I will take few questions. Okay, I will take few questions before that. Give me a second.
Yeah, there is one question actually by Gaurav, that if we want to create a web page, do we need to write HTML, CSS from scratch, or we can directly use React or Angular?
Dekho, it's always you should do from scratch. So web pages simply means you need okay, it's if you should or you can. The point is, let us say you have to make a simple your portfolio website, right? Portfolio website, right? So yes, you can directly use React. It has, obviously, in that you will use JSX, which is a HTML-like structure. We can do it, right? Now, answer could be that yes, you can directly use React and make web applications. But yeah, it's always preferable to have a decent understanding of HTML and CSS and a bit of JavaScript before you make any application with React. Because internally you will see JSX. It is similar to HTML. You will style things, right? So everything you will do, but it's good to always know these things before you start moving to make projects directly in React. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Right. So the next question is asked by Jigar, that is basics of JavaScript enough to get started with React?
Yes, that is a very big advantage of React. With time, React developers, if you open okay, if you let me give you an example. Some people might have heard of hooks, right? React hooks. So initially in React, we have something called as class-based components and functional components. Now, since class-based components had some dependencies upon JavaScript, now their developers have shifted things to functional-based components. Okay, so yes, you should know a very basics of JavaScript nowadays to learn React, but not in depth. But there was a time you actually need to know more JavaScript as compared to now to learn React. But yeah, a very basics of JavaScript, it's enough nowadays to move to React, and then you can come back and master JavaScript again, because JavaScript is not easy language to master for sure. So you can learn basics of JavaScript, make decent projects, move to React, be good in React, come back to JavaScript, master JavaScript, and go on.
Right. Then there is one more question by Rani that like she's able to understand the code but not able to implement it. So what should she do?
See, the only way to be good at implementing is make small projects. In React, it's the beauty of React is everything is component based. I will talk about this. You can see the third point, right? The beauty of React is everything is component based, right? How will you improve in React? Start making small components. Try interlinking them with each other. The more you do it, small component, make them interlink with each other. This is the parent component. The more you will become better in React. Even in my early days, around 3 to 3.5 years, I learned React. Around 3 to 4 years. Now you can say that in the early days, it's very important to make simple projects, because at scale it becomes difficult to learn, right? Make small multiple projects. Automatically you will become good. But yeah, make small projects. Implement it from scratch.
Right. So should we take more questions right now or during the end of the webinar?
Yeah, you can take one more question. You can take one more question.
Okay. So this is a question asked by Arun, like which is better, JavaScript or TypeScript?
This should not be a question. JavaScript or TypeScript. Dekho, the point is, yeah, what is TypeScript? If you know how does browsers understand JavaScript, we have something called as JavaScript engine, right? For example, Chrome has an engine called as V8. For Firefox, we have an engine called as SpiderMonkey, right? So this is how browsers understand what JavaScript. Now, what is TypeScript? TypeScript introduced something called as types in JavaScript. TypeScript is, if you know, TypeScript is what type of language? It is weakly typed language, right? Not strongly typed. Weakly typed means there is no concept of types, right? Now, as you go at scale, it's very difficult to maintain a weakly typed language, because you do not know what error could be there, right? In weakly typed languages. That is why in scale, in very big applications, it's very difficult to work only in JavaScript. That is why TypeScript is made. TypeScript introduced the concept of types in JavaScript. For example, int, string, arrays, all these are types they introduced. So everything you write, first you will write the type of it. So now TypeScript is just a layer on the top of JavaScript. Even if you write in TypeScript, it will get converted to JavaScript behind the scenes. Browsers even don't know what TypeScript is. It's just a layer built over TypeScript. Anything you write in TypeScript will be converted to first JavaScript first, then it will run in the browser, in the JS engine. Okay, so I hope this answers the question.
Yeah. So there are more comments, but maybe we can take it after some time.
Sure. Now give me 15-20 minutes at least. Now something you are going for sure, you will learn something very good. Okay. Now why React first of all? Okay. Now I will talk about all these points, but I will talk about the most important point. Now the first question that you will be asked in any React interview is why React? Learning something, you should know, right? Ki kyo kar rahe hain, right? You should know that ki why this framework, why this library, what is something that why I am doing this. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript we already have, right? Now assuming that we already have HTML and CSS and JavaScript, right? That what actually happened ki we needed React. What was something that led to the introduction of React, right? Now let me take you to all of you might have used that famous Internet Explorers, right? Internet Explorers. You have used them, right? Now, if you remember, for example, I have any web page. Let me open any web page. Let me open Quora. right? If you remember, at the time of what? In the time of what? Internet Explorer, any button click. For example, I clicked on this button. Right now, it's opening something new. For example, I click on this technology. Okay, it is still opening a new page. I want to do something on the same page. Okay, let me open any other. What should I open? Okay, let me open Netflix. Okay. Okay, let me open and any other thing. What should I open? What could be a good example? Okay, so let me, if I see, the point is, okay, let me put it over here. Now, do you remember on any button click in Internet Explorer, for a split second, there used to be a what? A blank screen. There should used to be a continuous loader for a split second. Then a new web page used to reload. Do you remember? Do you remember this? Sorry. Do you remember this, right? Let me quickly check the comments. Give me a second. You guys remember this, right? Right? Tell me. I can't see the comments. You guys remember that days, right? When any small click on a web page used to be the reload of a web page from the scratch. Do you remember this? I can't see any comments regarding to yes or no. Yeah, right. So what now? Listen to me very carefully. What used to happen behind the scenes? You know what? You know what? What used to happen? We have a concept of DOM, right? Anything you write is converted into an HTML DOM, right? Anything you write is converted into an HTML DOM. Browsers have a ability to understand this DOM or to parse this DOM, correct? They parse the HTML DOM and that is how they render a web page, correct? Now let us say you have a facebook.com and it will obviously have a big DOM, right? It has a very big DOM, right? Right? This is a, let us say this is a DOM for facebook.com, right? Right? Now let us say this is your button this is a button present on a web page. If you click on this, it will make an API call to get all your friends. Okay, it will, if you click on this button, it will call an API to get all your friends. In the old days, what used to happen? You know, right? You have to load a new page. If you have to load a new page, in the old days, the whole DOM used to be recreated. The whole DOM used to be recreated. That on any small click on a button, since the web page has to be changed, the complete new DOM used to be created, and that is why you used to see a empty screen for a split millisecond, right? For example, this is my DOM, right? What will happen if you click on any node? Some action will take. This DOM will be destroyed, a new DOM will be created, and this will be passed by again by browsers, and you will see a new web page. So that is why you used to get a white screen in between after loading symbol, right? In Internet Explorer's time, because there was no concept of virtual DOM at that time. Now React came up with a concept of something called as virtual DOM. React came up with a concept of something that is called as virtual DOM. As I told you, what used to happen, if you see, initially what used to happen? I told you, right? What used to happen initially? On every update, new DOM used to be created. Now what will happen? Listen. Now let us say we have a HTML DOM that is being created. Okay. Now what you will do, let us say you clicked on this button and for this, the actual use case is that only few of the nodes should update. Only few of the nodes should update. Okay. That is the actual use case. For example, see this typing thing, right? if you do anything, only the part of a web page has to be updated, right? So this means not all nodes has to be updated. This means let us say only this node and this node has to be updated, right? Right. Now what will happen with the concept of virtual DOM? We will only update those nodes and their children that actually wants to be changed. In this case, this node wants to change and this node wants to change. This means only this will get updated and only this will get updated. So only four nodes are being recreated. This means the whole HTML DOM is not destroyed. The DOM is still the same. Only those nodes are actually changed that encountered a change. Okay, so this is a concept of virtual DOM. I will let you know with the help of diagram what this is. So virtual DOM simply means what React does. React maintains a copy of a DOM in the form of JavaScript by itself. Every time you change something on a web page, React does it not on the actual DOM, but on that copy. Then it compares the actual copy versus the changed copy with the help of some algorithm called as reconciliation algorithm. Then it computes the differences that will help you know the actual DOM that has been changed, and in the actual browser DOM, only those nodes will change that are actually being changed. You can see, right? In this, initially, this is virtual DOM. You see. So if I click on this, only those nodes have changing in the browser DOM that are being changed. Right? Now, can someone tell how many number of red nodes could be there in the previous flow? Not in the if the normal flow before React, how many red nodes could be there? Would be there. Sorry. How many red nodes would be there? Can someone tell? It's an easy question. In the browser DOM, in the world without React, how many nodes will be re-rendered? How many nodes will be read? Here you can see only 2 nodes as read because only 2 nodes were changed. All right, example, correct. You are saying correct. So in that case, all would have been read. All would have been this also read. Right? What is the benefit? Now the benefit is with the help of virtual DOM, only those nodes are being changing that are actually being changed, and this is saving your lot of time. That is why React gained very, very popularity. Even for large updates you want to do on a web page, with the help of virtual DOM, they were very, very quick. So that is why now if I open any, let us say YouTube, right? If I say open any YouTube, not any open. So on every button click, you won't see the whole page used to re-render. For example, if I click on T series, did the whole page re-render? Did you see any loading? Did you see this thing changing? No, right? Only the middle part changed. Why? Because that was the actual node that was being affected. This was not possible before this concept of DOM manipulations. So basically, all these frameworks have React especially has a concept of virtual DOM that allows you to update only that nodes of an actual DOM that needs an update. So how does it do it? I will quickly tell you again. Let us say you have a HTML DOM. You make some change on any of the node. What React will do? React will not make a change in the actual DOM. React will maintain a copy of that DOM in the form of JavaScript objects. It will make a change to that. Then it will compare the actual copy versus the changed copy. Then it will compare the difference. Only those nodes will be re-rendered in the main actual DOM or the browser DOM which needs a change. This will make sure that any re-rendering of a web page is avoided. You saw this over here, right? You saw this over here, right? So I hope this makes sense. So this is a concept of virtual DOM. Okay, this was the biggest advantage. Okay, So React has a virtual DOM which is optimized for performance and memory footprint. So on every update, React will build a virtual DOM subtree. It will differentiate it with the old one, computes a minimal set of nodes that are being differentiated, and it will put them in a queue. Right now, it is very, very fast because the normal DOM manipulation was slow, and it computes a minimal DOM operations now. Right now, it does a batch read and write for optimal DOM performance. Okay, so this concept of virtual DOM is usually faster than manual DOM operations. So this was the biggest advantage. If you see, this is a virtual DOM, this is a new virtual DOM. The affected nodes will be the nodes that are actually being affected and their children. So every time what happens, you make a change, React creates a virtual DOM, compares it with the real DOM, computes the differences, and only that patch is being changed in the actual DOM. So that was the concept of virtual DOM. So I hope this was useful. Any questions around this? Any questions around the concept of virtual DOM? So it was helpful, right? It was helpful, right? Any questions around this? Any questions around this? So this is one big advantage of React. What are other advantages? One other very, very important advantage is what? Okay, have you heard of this compositional nature? Okay, again, it's very, very helpful. Now, initially what you used to do, you used to write function, you used to return data, right? This f of f, this is called as compositional nature, right? This is what you used to do. Now, before React used to come, we used to write web pages in the form of HTML, right? Now we are writing web pages in the form of composition. This means till now, we were only returning data from functions. When React came, we started returning JSX from functions or UI from functions. You see, just like we used to return data from functions, React came up with a concept in which we actually started returning UI or HTML kind of structure from functions. You can see, right? From profile is a function which is returning image. Profile link is a function that is returning anchor tag. Profile is a function that is a kind of calling two functions. So React copied the compositional model to UI as well. In UI, before this, there was no compositional model. Compositional model means in the form of functions. In React, every component is a function. So in React, everything is a component. Every component is a function which returns some HTML kind of structure that is basically kind of called as JS. Okay, that is why it is also very popular. Okay, so everything in React is a component. If you see, every small thing on a web page in React is a component, which is nothing but a JavaScript function behind the scenes, which is returning some UI or HTML, or you can say JSX. Okay, so React allows us to visualize every little thing on a web page as a component which can be reused just like function can be reused. So this, if you see, this is one component, another component, that is a child inner component. It is similar to a parent function calling a child function and calling another function. Okay, so this is how React works. Everything in React is what? A component. Component behind the scenes is what? Nothing but a JS function that is returning a kind of UI. That was a big revolution. That it allowed developers to visualize UI as a compositional model. That was a big change. Till now, people were only following what? Data compositional model only for data. But React introduced the concept of compositions to UI as well. In React, you can visualize everything in the form of components. Every component is a function which is returning a kind of UI to the other components. Okay, so this is how you can see. This is a typical any web page. There are different boxes. Every box is what? A component. This is a big box. Now we have two blog posts. Two blog posts means two block components. Ideally, behind the scenes, there will be a single component which is being reused twice. So React allowed us to use the concept of components, which allows us to reuse components. Just like we can recall functions with different data, right, or arguments. Similarly, we can reuse React components. So these are the things that were easy to use when it comes to React. Okay, so if you see what are the main things that why React is popular, we have covered that everything in React is a components, unlike templates. Re-rendering and updates, you know, right? You saw, right? The concept of virtual DOM, that how re-rendering happens. Initially, on every re-render, what used to happen? The whole DOM used to be recreated. Now what will happen? Only those nodes of our DOM should be recreated that have actually gone through a change. Okay, that was the concept of virtual DOM. Okay, now you saw that everything in React is a component, which makes it very, very easy for developers to visualize things. Also, it follows a compositional model. What does compositional model mean? That it acts in the form of functions. Before this, you could only talk about compositional model in the form of data. React allowed to talk about compositional form in the form of UI as well. In React, you simply write components, which are simply JavaScript functions, which simply return something called as JSX. That is a HTML-like structure. Okay, so I hope you are clear with these four benefits. These are the main benefits. I will only now talk about the two remaining things that we'll move to questions. Now, the last one is pretty simple. React is nothing but JavaScript only. You do not have to learn a new language to learn React. React is simply JavaScript. That is why it is very, very familiar. If you know JavaScript, it's very, very easy to learn React, because you just have to learn the concept, not the syntax and all. Okay. Finally, I want to talk about something called a declarative nature. Now, in any programming language has two types of things. One is what? Okay, imperative or a declarative. Imperative and declarative. Now, when we say React is declarative, what do you mean to say? Imperative, let us say we have an analogy that I have to go from one place to another place. How will I go? If you, an imperative response will be that go from there, we are telling every small direction to that person. A declarative response will be, my address is this, you have to reach at this place. Okay, now how does it correlate to this? Before React, have you heard of this DOM manipulation? How do you used to do DOM manipulation? Document dot get element by ID, get element by class name. In that case, what do you used to do? We used to actually get the DOM node with that ID or class, and then we used to change that node. This is what we used to do when we say DOM manipulation in a in imperative way. Okay, this is what jQuery used to do, but React does it in a declarative way. In React, we do not update the DOM directly. We only update the kind of virtual DOM, or we only declare to React that the status changed. Please update the DOM for me. Okay, so that is why we say React is declarative in nature. We are not forcing React to do this, do this. We are just declaring, please do this for me. Okay, so these are the main benefits why React is beneficial. Okay, I will quickly summarize all of them. First of all, React is compositional model. Compositional model is important. Why? Because everything could be visualized in the form of functions. Before React, only data was being visualized in a compositional model. After React, even UI was visualized in the form of compositional model. You could write JavaScript functions which could return what? JSX. That was a big benefit. React is declarative in nature, unlike jQuery and all, which are imperative, in which we directly go to the browser DOM and we update that. Instead, in React, we only say to React, please do this for me. React will do that change in the DOM for you in a very, very efficient way. Everything in React is just a component, every little button or any single thing on a web page that you see in React is a web page, right? Now, the last point was React is just a JavaScript, and the most important point that React re-renders on update very, very efficiently. Before the concept of any virtual DOM and all, we used to recreate the new DOM on every event click. But when it comes to React, what do? You may have a concept of virtual DOM. How it works? React maintains a copy of the new DOM in the form of JavaScript object. Whenever you have to make any change, he makes a copy of that and does the change on that. Then compares the actual and the copy with the algorithm called as reconciliation algorithm, compares the differences between the two, marks the nodes that only needs to be changed on the actual DOM, and then only those nodes and their children are changed who actually need a change. Okay, so this actually helps you to avoid re-rendering of the complete web page. Okay, so I hope you are clear now that why React is important. So these were very typical use cases of React, why it is important. Now I hope you are clear with React. Coming back to this, so we covered about React, right? Similarly, React is on the client side. Node.js is a server-side programming language that is being present over here. Okay. So now this is all about from my side. So I'm open to questions. Just before I open to questions, so this is a batch I'm taking this is a batch I am taking. For example, in this you can see. So this is a 20 classes batch of 2 hours each, that approximately 50 hours course that we want to talk about. So this is starting on 2nd. You can see we have introduction to complete JavaScript. Then we have talk about projects. Then we are moving to React in detail. Then understanding cloud operations, conditional rendering, Node.js basics, introduction to REST APIs, databases, session handling, setting up our own REST APIs, TypeScript, GraphQL, and very basics of TypeScript and GraphQL and deployments. So this is a course that will help. I'm taking over here, and that will help you to master all these concepts that I've covered. Also, I also covered give you a brief introduction of why React is the future and what is something that makes React unique. Okay, so that's it from my side. Now I'm open to questions. We can take the questions now.
Right. So it was a really, nice, about React, because some of my concepts of virtual DOM was also not clear. So I was also listening very carefully. So yes, thank you for that. And I could see that there are a lot of people who are, being consistent. Like there are around 50 to 60 people who are consistently watching it from the start. So now we can take few of the questions. So a question is asked by Shweta that what are the advanced topic of JavaScript that a beginner should know?
Yeah, the advanced topic. See, JavaScript is not an easy language to learn. The point is the advanced topics, they are very advanced topics. For example, closures, hosting, right? How does event loop works, right? Prototypal inheritance, right? So all these are topics are very, very, so these are, when we say advanced in JavaScript, right? We say conceptual. JavaScript is not difficult, but it is highly conceptual. This keyword, right? So these topics are considered advanced in JavaScript because these are little conceptual. Okay. So once you learn simple JavaScript, you can even most of the people who know React are not, they are not sure they know all these concepts or not. Okay. I have listed just a few, how set timeout works and all this keyword and all. There are multiple topics like this, right? So all these are advanced topics that are being called. Advanced simply means you know that how it works behind the scenes. Because hosting is a phenomena. Similarly, event loop works behind the scenes. Inheritance is different in JavaScript as compared to classical inheritance. This keyword behaves different at different places in JavaScript, right? Similarly, call, apply, bind, how does this works, right? So all these are considered as, similarly, a bit about functional programming in JavaScript. So all these are considered as advanced topics, okay, because they are conceptual. So they are not difficult. There are lots of resources for this. But yeah, if you master all these things, you can be considered a very good JavaScript developer. I've personally given a lot of front-end interviews around 8 to 9 months back. So yeah, even in interviews, all these concepts are way too popular. Only all these your JavaScript interviews will revolve around all these concepts only. Okay.
Right. So then there's a question that should we use class components or functional components while using React?
Because when you are learning things, use class components. When you are learning things, when you are beginner, use class-based components because that will help you to learn a lot of JavaScript concepts as well. But when you are clear with class components, then you can move to functional components. But the point is, you should not directly move to functional components because when you go to any company, right, there is a code that is written 4 to 5 years back minimum in any big company you go. So over there, you will not find functional components. Right, over there you will still find class-based components only, right? You won't find functional components using hooks and all, right? So yeah, once right, you should be comfortable in class-based components before moving to functional components. Don't jump directly to functional components.
Right. Then there's a question around hooks. Many people are asking, can you tell a brief about what hooks is?
Hooks is what? We have a class-based component, right? Class-based components has a concept of state. We maintain something called a state in class-based components, whereas in functional components, we do not use to maintain anything, right? But class-based components had some drawbacks. What were the drawbacks? First of all, it was not very friendly for people who don't know JavaScript. This is the performance. This is something I'm talking about the developer side. Class-based components were difficult for people to maintain and to write at a good level who are not very good with JavaScript. That was one big disadvantage. This was from a developer side. From a performance side, class-based components were very difficult to minify. That is why these were the few drawbacks with class-based components. That is why the developers at React wanted to shift everything to functional-based components. Now, they mimicked everything that was there in class-based component and not in functional components. For example, state. State was a concept and lifecycle hooks are the main two concepts. Lifecycle hooks were there in lifecycle components were there in class-based and state we could maintain state. These two things were not there in functional components. Both those things now they provided to us in the form of hooks in functional components. Now you can use different hooks. Hooks are nothing but JavaScript functions written behind the scenes for you. For example, you can simply use useState function. That's the hook. Hook is just a name to a function. It's a function only you will call just to maintain a state. So using hooks or by calling these functions, which we call as hooks, you can simply mimic the state and the lifecycle methods which were there in class-based components. This made sure that anything that could be done in class-based components now can be done in functional components as well. Now you do not need to even know about class-based components. This made sure that for even people who don't know JavaScript properly, they were also able to do functional because there is no concept of this keyword and all in functional components, right? So yeah, that is the main high-level difference.
Okay, then there's a question around the course that you're taking. Can you tell the name of the batch that you're taking for full stack development?
So this is the name is it's only full stack development with React and Node.js. So this is if you simply search it on Google, you will get it. If I simply basically let me say full stack development React. But simply write it, you will get Node.js. So it's a batch 14 that is starting on I think 2nd on this Saturday. Just simply write TFG.
Also, we will try to put down the link in the description box below so you guys can easily click from there and register for the course.
So I think this one is the course, yeah, the live one. This is a live course, right? So that is the same thing.
There's a question around like when is the batch starting?
So you can see this over here. The batch is starting on 2nd. That is set 2nd, and we will have it's a 50-hour course, 40 hours of live session, 10 hours of 50 hours of live session, 40 in classes, and 10 in doubt solving. So we will have 10 weekends, 20 classes, every class 2 hours each, and every week 1 doubt session.
Okay. Okay. Then there's a question that is data structure and algorithm required for being a front-end developer?
It's not required, obviously, but you should know very basics of data structure to sustain in the industry. But yeah, to do the actual work, it's not required.
Then Narayan has asked that what are the server side things you need to know if you have to be a front end engineer?
For front end engineers, it's a good question. You should know that how APIs work, because as a front end developer, you will server side people will give you APIs, use these APIs to do stuff. But you should know that how a very basics of how APIs are created, what are CRUD operations, how different APIs gives different responses, 200, 400, 401, 301, 201, right? So there are few things that how this complete API space works, web APIs. At least this much you should know as a front end developer from the server side.
Okay.
At least if you want to dig deep, the very minimal you should know is how to create CRUD APIs in Node.js or any server side programming language. This is what I believe even a front end developer should know, how to create simple CRUD APIs in backend. That will help you to write better front end code.
Right. Then there's a question asked by Raj that are there any major changes in React 18 as compared to the current version? If you can tell.
I'm not even sure about this, so I have not actually looked at the changes. But whenever the changes come in, they are always minor. There very few are there that are major. Yeah, I'm not sure about the actual changes about this.
Right. I think I have taken up all the questions. We'll wait for another 10 seconds. If you guys have any other questions, you can put it in the comment section, and I will quickly ask those questions. Yes, drop the link of the course. So yeah, we will definitely try to put it in the description box below. If it is not already there, we will put it after this webinar. So yes, you can directly click from there and register for the batch. Yes. I think there are no more questions for now. One second. Cool. So yes, I would like to thank you, Utkarsh, for coming to this webinar and clearing the doubts. It was really insightful, and even I got to learn a lot. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone. I hope you learned something. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Bye guys.
So yes, thank you so much guys for joining as well. I could see that people were consistent throughout the webinar. There were like around 40 to 50 people that were consistently watching. I hope that you got to learn something and definitely register for the batch for full stack development. There are live courses and doubt solving classes as well. So yes, definitely try to check that out. We will definitely try to put all the links. I could see a lot of comments around the link. So we will put everything in the description box below. Do not worry about that. And then lastly, I would like to tell you all that as Geek Summer Carnival is going on, you guys know that, and we have huge discounts on all the courses at Geeks for Geeks, and all the courses are at student friendly prices. So do not forget to check them out. I think this is an opportunity that no one can afford to miss. So yes, with this, I will end the webinar and I will see you in the next webinar. Bye.